Ever wanted to drop a god into your game who's got parental trauma, a prophecy complex, and a habit of eating babies? Let me introduce you to Cronus, Titan, the throner of the sky, and the original, it's complicated, entry in the family tree. Hello all you wonderfully funky people, Funky Monkey here, and welcome to today's episode. TTRPGs, Pathfinder, Daggerheart, D&D, Discworld, Homebrew, Madness. Whatever you're running, one thing's always true. It's hard to make a good god. You could use the defaults of course, or you could go mythic. And for that, we turn to the true masters of divine drama, the ancient Greeks themselves, aka the Pantheon Paparazzi. Today's tale, Cronus, son of Uranus, king of the Titans, and a walking red flag with a sickle. Short recap of his origin story so we know what we're walking into. If you want the full story of Uranus, in case you don't know it, check out this video right here. Oh, and if you want to learn Mango's second title, stick around until the end of the video. For those new to the channel, I have two lovely cats, my wonderful assistants, who make an appearance now and again and improve my videos overall. And of course, they have a gajillion names and titles, and I'm just listing them all. So, back to our recap and origin. Cronus was the son of Uranus, yes, the sky god, and one of the original primordial titans. He envied his father's power and dreamed of taking his place. But Uranus, not exactly eager to be overthrown, took drastic measures. He stuffed the children he had with Gaia, who was also his mother, and yes, I know how that sounds. But hey, he's the sky, she's the earth, this was less soap opera and more cosmic symbolism. Still weird though. Anyway, Uranus locked up all 18 of their children deep within the earth into the deepest, darkest pit of Tartarus. Among them were the 12 titans, Cronus being the youngest, the 3 cyclops, and the 3 100-handed ones, also called the Hecatoncheires. Gaia was furious, understandably. So she called on her children to rise up and overthrow Uranus. Out of all 18, only one had the guts, Cronus. Gaia crafted him a sickle, some say of flint, some say of adamantium, and with it, Cronus ambushed his father, castrated him, and hurled the body bits into the sea. That one act toppled the sky god. Uranus fell and Cronus took the throne. From the blood that hit the earth sprang forth the Erinyes, also known as the Furies, the Giants, and the Meliae, or the Ash Tree Nymphs. Now, depending on which ancient source you ask, because of course the ancient Greeks couldn't agree on anything when it came to their gods, some versions leave out the Cyclops and the Hecatoncheires entirely. But in the version by Pseudo-Apollodorus, Cronus doesn't exactly free his monstrous siblings after the coup. Nope, actually he re-imprisons them in Tartarus and sets the dragon Campe as their jailer. Cronus then took his older sister Rhea as his wife because, of course, Greek mythology, and together they ruled the world. This era became known as the Golden Age, a time without laws because nobody needed them. People just apparently did the right thing. No immorality, no crime, just good vibes and divine authority. Of course, because it's the Greeks, there's another version. One in which Cronus and Rhea weren't actually the first divine rulers. That honor went to Ophion, a serpent titan, and Eurynome, a daughter of Oceanus. In that tale, Rhea defeats Eurynome, Cronus defeats Ophion, and the power couple tosses their bodies into the sea, classic move, and claim Olympus for themselves. King of gods. As the newly crowned ruler of the cosmos, Cronus was living the dream. King of the primordial gods, master of all he surveyed. Everything was going great. Until mom and dad dropped by. That's right, Gaia and Uranus decided to pay their baby boy a visit, and they came bearing a prophecy. They told Cronus that just as he overthrew his own father, one of his children would one day rise up and overthrow him. Naturally, Cronus handled this news in the most logical way possible. He started eating his kids. One by one, he devoured his first 5 children, Demeter, Hestia, Hera, Hades and Poseidon, swallowing them whole the moment they were born, all while waiting for the 6th. Rhea, understandably horrified, turned to her mother, Gaia, for help. Together, they hatched a plan: save the 6th child, Zeus, and get sweet, sweet divine revenge. Rhea gave birth to Zeus in secret, on the hiding slopes of Mount Ida in Crete. And when Cronus came demanding his baby snack, she handed him a stone wrapped in swaddling cloth. Cronus, completely fooled, even asked Rhea to nurse the child one last time before he swallowed it. So she did, unveiling her breast and suckling the stone. From the milk spilled across the heavens, the Milky Way was born. You heard that right, the galaxy is the result of nursing a rock. Mythology is wild. Once satisfied, Cronus swallowed the bundled stone whole. He never suspected a thing. The stone would later be called the Omphalon, the navel stone, and would become a sacred relic in Greek tradition. Zeus grows up. While Cronus was busy ruling and digesting his children, Rhea kept Zeus hidden on the Isle of Crete, on the slopes of Mount Ida. Depending on which myth you ask, he was raised either by a magical goat named Amalthea or by a nymph named Amalthea who fed him goat milk. Honestly, it could have been both. Zeus wasn't alone. He was also looked after by 2 other nymphs, Helike and Cynosura, and was constantly surrounded by the Chorets, a band of armored warrior dancers. Their job? Bang their shields with their spears, yell, stomp and raise enough noise to drown out Zeus's baby cries so Cronus wouldn't hear a thing. Now, because Cronus ruled over the sky, the earth and the sea, Amalthea crafted a clever little trick. She placed baby Zeus in a cradle suspended in a tree hovering between all 3 realms. That way, he wasn't technically in any of Cronus' domains, so Cronus wouldn't actually be able to sense the child. At one point, Cronus actually visited Crete, and Zeus, who was no longer a helpless baby, transformed himself into a snake and transformed his 2 nymph nurses into bears to avoid detection. Their loyalty would be immortalized later as they became the constellations Ursa Major and Ursa Minor. Oh, and the Chorets? They were making so much racket that Cronus got annoyed and tried to deal with them himself by turning them into lions so that he could hunt them, but Rhea wasn't having it. She made lions her sacred animals, yoked the transformed Chorets to her chariot, and saved their hides. Because if mythology teaches us one thing, it's that mom gets things done. Overthrowing Daddy Dearest. According to the ancient writer Hesiod, once Zeus reached adulthood, it was go time. Either with the help of Metis, a clever titaness and one of his many aunties, or through sheer divine force, Zeus made Cronus cough up all 5 swallowed siblings and the stone. They emerged fully grown, fully armed and fully ready to throw down. With his brothers and sisters back at his side, Zeus rallied the old allies that Cronus had locked away, the Hecatoncheires and the Cyclops. In gratitude, the Cyclops gifted Zeus his signature weapon, the Thunderbolts. And with these powerhouses behind him, Zeus kicked off the ultimate cosmic rebellion, the Titanomachy, the War of the Gods. It was a clash of titans, literally, but in the end, Zeus and his crew emerged victorious. Most of the titans were imprisoned in Tartarus, sealed beneath the earth with no parole. But Zeus wasn't completely merciless. A few titans were spared, those who either stayed neutral or helped him out. Among them, Oceanus, the great world river, Helios, the sun, Atlas, who got the fun job of holding up the sky, Prometheus and Epimetheus, the brothers of foresight and hindsight, and Astreus, the titan of wind and dusk. Now, you'd think after a celestial civil war, Zeus would get to kick back and enjoy the throne, but not quite. Gaia, his grandmother, who, mind you, helped Zeus take down Cronus in the first place, was not thrilled about how things turned out. Watching her children, the Titans, get locked away again, she decided to take vengeance. And so, she gave birth to the most terrifying creature in all of mythology, Typhon. But that, my dear funky people, that's another story for another time. The aftermath. So, what did happen to Cronus after the Titanomachy or the Titan Wars? Well, like everything in Greek mythology, there's no single straight answer. Just grab a bag of conflicting stories, courtesy of the ancient Greeks, and take your pick. The most popular version, well, Cronus was thrown into Tartarus alongside the rest of the defeated Titans, locked away in the deep, dark basement of the cosmos. But later versions tell a softer tale, that Zeus, in an act of mercy, eventually freed Cronus and allowed him to rule over the Isle of the Blessed, a mythical paradise somewhere in the Atlantic Ocean, home to the greatest Greek heroes. Basically Mount Olympus meets early retirement. And then there's the weird version of the story. One obscure myth claims that Zeus drugged Cronus with enchanted honey, put him to sleep, and castrated him just as Cronus had done to Uranus. A full circle power move if you ask me. The completely alternate version, because why not? You know how today's producers sometimes think that they can out-Tolkien? They launch remakes, remasters, or just twist the original stories until it barely resembles itself, either for laughs or for clicks. Well, it's not exactly a modern invention. Back in the day, ancient writers were doing the exact same thing. Satirical takes and mythological reimaginings were baked into works like Saturnalia, Satyricon, or Metamorphoses. You know, the golden ass and all that jazz. But in the old days, the titles alone told you, this is not a serious version, as opposed to the things that are taking place nowadays. Case in point, in Lucian of Samosata's Saturnalia, Cronus sits down for a chat with one of his high priests during the winter festival. The conversation turns to class inequality and the way the rich trample the poor during festivities. But then the priest brings up that story, you know, the one where Cronus eats his kids and gets overthrown. Cronus is shocked and offended. He insists it's fake news. According to him, he didn't get overthrown, he gracefully abdicated the throne in favor of his son, Zeus. In fact, he and Zeus supposedly have an arrangement. Each year, for 7 days during the Saturnalia festival, Cronus gets to rule once more. It's a symbolic return to the Golden Age, a carefree, toil-free paradise before the Olympians took over with all their rules and lightning bolts. The High Priest isn't totally sold on this revisionist history, but hey, who's gonna argue with a primordial god, right? The Roman interpretation. As you might already know, the Romans pretty much copy-pasted the Greek pantheon, then added their own cultural seasoning. When Cronus went through the Roman remix, he became Saturn, the god of time, dissolution, abundance, wealth, agriculture, renewal, and liberation. Quite the portfolio upgrade if you ask me. Unlike the somewhat sidelined Cronus, Saturn took center stage in Roman religion. He was deeply revered, especially during the winter months, through the lavish and chaotic festival of Saturnalia. For 7 days, the world turned upside down. Feasting, gift-giving, and most famously, role reversal. Slaves became masters for 7 days, and masters served their slaves. Order was upended, and for one glorious week, it was all about excess, equality, and celebration. Saturn even had one of the most important temples in all of Rome, built right in the heart of the Roman Forum. It housed the state treasury and the archives, proving Saturn wasn't just a party god, he had political clout. And yep, Saturday is named after him, because even now, thousands of years later, we still give the guy a day off to chill. Now, the difference between Greek Cronus and Roman Saturn, well, that deserves its own deep dive. But that, my dear funky people, is yet again another story for another time. Cronus, Saturn, and Kronos. While the Greeks loved their divine drama and made Cronus a moody god of chaos, disorder, and bad parenting, to be frank, the Romans took a more positive spin. Their version, Saturn, was a god of order, agriculture, renewal, and even liberation. But how did Cronus transform into Father Time? According to Cicero, writing in the 1st century BCE, Cronus became linked with time through his association with agriculture. He was responsible for the seasons, the cycles, the ebb and flow of nature. Others suggest that the name Saturn itself hints at the connection derived from a root meaning saturated with years. A being filled with time, devouring ages as he devoured his children. But earlier still, in the 4th century BC, Plato weighed in, saying that Cronus and Rhea were named after streams. Rhea was named using the root word roe, meaning flowing, river, flux, and Cronus from Chronos, meaning time. Not a coincidence, but a cosmic metaphor. And it's that metaphor that stuck. Cronus devouring his children, it's not just a gruesome bedtime story. It's time consuming all things, the past devouring the future, the old suppressing the new. All of these interpretations came to a head during the Renaissance, when artists and thinkers merged Cronus and Kronos into one figure, Father Time. A weary old god with a long beard and a harvesting scythe, cutting everything down because nothing escapes time. How to use this in your world building? This is the story of a war between primordial gods and the gods who came after, which makes it perfect fuel for your next campaign. You could spin it as a high-stake plot hook. The gods in your world are going mad. Maybe they're losing control, maybe they fear the mortals having grown too powerful, so they decide to cut them down. The only hope? Ancient weapons forged by the primordials, long forgotten, buried or sealed away. A ragtag group of adventurers, hey, your players, not mine, set out to find them and maybe even bargain with these ancient forces. Or flip it. The primordials are stirring deep beneath the world, older than time and full of rage. If awakened, they'll shatter everything. Your party's quest? Put them back to sleep, bind them, bargain, survive. Or hey, maybe the gods are fine, maybe they're just rebranding. Whatever you choose, one thing's for sure. There's no wrong way to myth. This story is your toolbox, your launchpad, your fire starter. And the only limit, let's be honest, is your imagination. And if you've made it this far, I already know you have plenty of that, so I'm not worried. Now, last time you found out Mango's first title. Today you will learn her second, Mistress of the Dark. If you enjoyed this myth-fueled madness, hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and ring that bell so you don't miss the next saga. Got a favorite messed up god story? Share it in the comments. Or if you don't feel like sharing, just say hi, I will appreciate it nonetheless. Until next time, stay curious, stay funky, never stop creating, and remember, every world needs a little chaos, so bring Cronus to yours. Until next time, have yourselves a wonderful, wonderful, funky day. Cheers.